I think a lot of people right now are looking at Bitcoin going, why the heck is this thing not at $1 million a coin already? Well, obviously, basic economics and finance will tell me why it's not at $1 million yet, because not enough people have purchased it to pull up the value and all these things. But I look at the value of Bitcoin. I look at the intrinsic value. I look at the actual use case for Bitcoin as well as other cryptos. And I say, how is this not the future of our financial system? And when I look at that, I think this coin is going to go, or these coins or these tokens, these cryptos are going to go through the roof. Certain ones are going to die. How do you know which one to be in? And let's just take Bitcoin. There's only 21 million in existence. And it was created to kind of thwart the traditional financial system, because you're not subject to governments printing money. 80% of our money supply has been printed in the last 5 years. That is a scary, scary thought. And if you hold dollars, your dollars will eventually be worth nothing if you hold them long enough. That's old Warren Buffett saying. And the reality is that they've been worth less and less. On average, the real value of our dollars goes down by about 9% a year. And that old adage of just put your money in savings is a lie. It's a terrible, terrible lie. But I got to show you this one piece here. This is probably one of the best rants. You may love this guy or hate this guy. It doesn't matter. This is probably one of the better rants to understand the value of Bitcoin and how our current financial system is broken. So with that, let's play this one right here.
And realize that the modern financial system is broken. It's slow. It's expensive. And there's nothing that can be done on, blockchain that can't be done better than the way that the current financial institutions are working. Swift is an absolute disaster. There's not a week that goes by that I'm either trying to send out a wire on a Friday afternoon or trying to receive a wire on a Friday afternoon. You're worried if you're going to hit that 4 o'clock cutoff time, where you might not see your, whatever funds you're supposed to be receiving in the ordinary course of business, for another 72 hours or whatever it might be. It's insane. Why do banks work 9 to 5, with a long lunch break, Monday through Friday? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's, you could go try and get a mortgage in the United States or really anywhere else around the world, but, you and, whoever your spouse is, you could sit there for 90 days, 120 days going through and know your customer with a bank that's literally been your banker for the last 25 years, and it takes you, 120 days to get a mortgage to buy a house. By the time you get the mortgage, the house that you want to buy is already gone and, your dream's already imploded. Like, this isn't modern finance. This is incompetence. Try and transfer money across the world. You want to go buy a watch. You want to go buy a car. You want to go, do whatever it is. The banks take half of that. You have currency conversion rates. You have all sorts of things. You have to find a branch bank in a country with a banker you've never spoken to before. You don't even know if they're, a real life banker or if they're a fraudster. Whereas you can open up a DeFi app right now. You can open up, any cryptocurrency app and you can send money wallet to wallet instantaneously without the expense, without the variability. Our banking system is broken. Our banking system is antiquated. Our banking system favors the ultra wealthy. And what actually got me into it is the fact that I realized our banking system, it was weaponized against the vast majority of people in our country, either the people that don't have the zeros on their balance sheet or people who might have worn that red hat that said, "Make America Great Again." And it forced me into the crypto world. And I'm telling you, if the banks don't watch what's coming, they're going to be extinct in 10 years.
If the banks don't watch what's coming, they're going to be extinct in a few years. And that's the thing, is I think the banks saw this coming. Well, they didn't see it coming because they were the ones who were pushing against, in my opinion, pushing against and lobbying against crypto because they knew it would erode their profits. Because banks make their money on fees. Regardless of what people think, banks make their money on fees. Whether it's a wire transfer fee, they make a lot of money on when you overdraw your account fee and things like that. Yes, they make money by lending money out, but they make multiples of that money by fees and transfer fees and wire fees and all these other things. Checking account fees. They actually charge you money to keep your money in the bank in a checking account. They charge you, some of them, $17 a month if you don't keep enough in there. And they take that money and lend it out anyway. So that's with the fractional banking system. So what Eric Trump is saying here is that this system is broken. It's incompetent. It is antiquated. And this is why Bitcoin is going through the roof. Okay. Now look at this. Here's the inflows of Bitcoin. Now this is going to be really interesting because I'm going to look at this compared to where we are right now in the price in a second. But you see this right here? The last 8 days we've had inflows. The last 8 days we've had inflows to Bitcoin's spot ETFs, Look at where the price is. Right here, it's pushing up against this next level of 95,000. We're at 95,100. We're at the end of the month. If it closes a candle above that 95,000 and change mark, this is going to bode very, very, very well for Bitcoin. This is my opinion, not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. Don't do things that I say just because I say them. Do your own research and all that stuff. But look back here. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days where we tested this last level, and then we blasted through it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days we're testing this level. Eventually, we're going to blast through it in my humble opinion. If you go back here, we didn't test it quite as much before the Trump election because we didn't know who was going to be president back here. Was it going to be Trump? Is it going to be Biden? That's why it didn't swell up when Trump was the presidential elected official. When Trump got elected, he didn't take office on November 5th, but he got elected on November 5th. Look what happens on November 6th. We blasted through the moon to all-time highs. I moved a line again. And then we settled back down. And now we're poised perfectly to take over that all-time high. It's got a few more levels to go through, but man, we're poised just perfectly for Bitcoin. And so what I see happening in these next couple weeks is we're going to test this one. We're going to pop above it, more than likely. You're going to get news on tariffs. You're going to get news. I mean, there's already a deal in the making with India. Now look how China in the background, people say, oh, Trump folded to China. And the reality is that they're both making deals in the background, regardless of what either one says. Xing Pao, whatever his name is, Xing's the premier, the head communist in China, he doesn't want to look weak. They're talking about a regime change in China. He doesn't want to look weak right now, but he also doesn't want to lose this business for his country. And you've already heard Apple talk about moving production to India. Apple doesn't care which country they work with. They just want to get it done with skilled labor in a reasonable amount of time at a reasonable price to make themselves keep themselves profitable. And so if India is in real close to making a deal with the U.S., that's going to take business away from China. China's going to scurry to find a solution to this. They can dump their currency, they can dump our T-bills, but that's only going to last for so long. And so if you have these deals being made in the background, if you have right now we're going to have unemployment numbers today. That's going to make the market very volatile. Those unemployment numbers, if they don't come in as expected, it's going to shake markets. Bitcoin could move against stocks in this one because it's starting to separate from the tech stocks. I can't say it's completely uncoupled from the stock market, but it is starting to move on its own. Gold is at all-time highs, but the price of gold has only doubled since 2010. Where you look at the price of Bitcoin, Bitcoin does everything gold does, but it does it better. Bitcoin has moved up 100,000% since 2010, where gold has only doubled. I'd rather invest in an asset. Obviously, as the asset gets larger in market capitalization, you're going to have diminishing returns, but still, you're still going to have returns. Again, not financial advice. This is my opinion. You're still going to have returns better than gold for a long time. Now, gold is not finite. Yes, it is finite. There's only so much gold in the earth, but we still haven't pulled it all out. We don't really know how much is there. We know how much Bitcoin is there. We know how much Bitcoin is worth today. There's not you could argue there's manipulation of supply, but not really. There's not manipulation of actual supply of Bitcoin. There's 21 million. So Eric Trump made a very strong case against the banking system. They're either going to adopt or they're going to die. And this goes true with a lot of things out there. When people, said that the horse and buggy whip manufacturers at the turn of the 19th century, 20th century, they said that, look, we're making horse and buggy whips. This car thing is just a fad. It's going to go away. Well, those companies are all out of business now. Why? Because they didn't adapt and adopt new technology. This is technology that's changing the financial banking system. You are part of change. And change is not easy. Most people They don't like change. Think about your workplace. Think about your family. Think about yourself. People don't like change. And people who make their money a certain way where the change threatens that, they don't like that even more because that's going to threaten their business model. They can do one of two things. They can adopt and adapt, or they can die. And that's the whole point of this. And with this, I see Bitcoin, these banks are adopting. They realize this. They realize, look, we might as well adopt. It's going to erode their fees, granted, but it's going to make it faster. I know when we send money, it takes a long time. It doesn't actually hit there. If you don't get to the bank before a certain time, that wire's not going to clear the Fed. You're not going to get it there. We're talking about large sums of money. It's not going to get there. It just won't get there. Crypto, instant. Almost instantly it gets there, and it's legit because you can look at the transaction on the blockchain. You can see the wallet it's coming from. You can see the wallet it's going to. It is an absolute game-changing technology, and this is why the banks have been fearful of it for so long. But it's also why those who don't adopt will die. So that's where we're at. So I see Bitcoin's price blasting through this unless we have some crazy news against Bitcoin or something like that. The cards are on the table. The game is in play, and I see Bitcoin. Could it retrace? Yes, absolutely. It could go back down, but really, look, it's stair-stepping its way up. And unless we have something very, very, what could be? Let's see. If you have the Fed saying they're going to raise rates and increase quantitative tightening, because let's be honest, if there's less money supply out there, there's going to be less people that are able to buy Bitcoin. You can't drive the price up. But look at who's buying. It's countries. They're changing their dollars or their yen or their rand or whatever they have. They're changing them for Bitcoin. They're scurrying to buy this stuff, and they're pushing the price up. And even if, governments will always have money. They always print money. But they're putting this stuff, they're stockpiling it like they would gold, like they would silver, like they would oil as a reserve to back their currency and make their country stronger. So, I don't know if the U.S. is doing this behind the scenes. They can't really do it without congressional approval if they're using taxpayer funds. But they maybe have found other ways they can do it legally and maybe aren't telling everyone right now. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I am definitely not on that pay grade. So with all that being said, I look forward to watching Bitcoin just blast off. I had a $120,000 to $150,000 price point target for this year, and that sounds like a bear case at this point. It could swell up to 300,000-400,000. It's just that astronomically important in the world right now, and it's the topic of many, many financial conversations all around the world. Amongst the heads of states, of companies, countries, states, cities. A recent city of Roswell, New Mexico just adopted a Bitcoin strategic reserve for a city. I didn't even think about the city level. You have individuals, companies, you have city, state, and federal government all looking to adopt Bitcoin as a store of value and a strategic reserve for themselves. It's crazy. So with that being said, that's all I got. Hope you got some value out of this rant. I did warn you this was going to be a rant. If you're not a subscriber, now's the time to hit the subscribe button, like, share, do all those things, and I will see you next time.